This is current international trends and the impact here at home. And I'll make a disclaimer like Brian is that my trends are based on extensive daily monitoring of over 30 information sources around the world. And I suggest you pay attention to those. Here are some trends from our latest bi-weekly Global Business Update newsletter. Global economy recovery. It's very strong. Just this morning in the Wall Street Journal, there was an indication of how strong the economy is going to be growing. I'll have slides for all these. Our biggest challenge today internationally is truly the global supply chain. Global vaccination status. The U.S. pulled ahead of all other countries. And now Europe is catching up and in fact going ahead of us as far as first doses, which is good for business and life. And then China, interesting. I'm not a financial guy like Brian, but when I see that the growth of mutual funds in China has doubled in 3 years, it tells you something about the middle class. And then I'll have a few miscellaneous slides, as I always do, and one final slide for you. So this is McKinsey, came out yesterday. This is a couple of thousand CEOs as to what they think about the conditions in their country over the next 6 months. You can see that by and large, from going from March to June, everybody is up except for India, which of course dropped dramatically due to the COVID crisis. Developing markets, a bit of a challenge because of lack of vaccines, but everybody else fairly positive about what's going to happen in their economies. This just came out from the International Trade Office, US, their blog Tradeology, GDP growth from 20 to 21. You can see that most of Africa is seeing small growth, China high, and the US sort of moderate as far as percentage of GDP growth over a year. Mexico, Brazil, Australia, Indonesia, Philippines, Japan, fairly low, coming back from very high declines in 20, but still positive. Now we're going to talk about supply chain. You may remember seeing about this boat that got stuck in the Suez Canal sideways. God only knows how you take a boat and put it sideways in the Suez Canal, but they did, and it stopped an awful lot of trade going between Asia and Europe. It's that the ship is still there. It has 17,000 containers. And so those containers that were supposed to be delivered about 2.5 months ago to consumers are still stuck in the Suez Canal. This is part of our supply chain challenge. Then we have this one. This is the port near Shenzhen, China, on the south coast, just across from Hong Kong. And there are currently 350,000 loaded containers sitting there waiting to be loaded because of a COVID shutdown of the port. Now, why is that important for us? Well, boys and girls, those containers have Christmas. These are the containers coming from factories in China that will eventually make them their way into warehouses and into stores for Christmas. So Christmas could be delayed a bit this year because of supply chain challenges. And then we have this problem. This is the cost of a container. Containers up until late 2020 were running at about $2,000 a container on the Asia to North Europe route. They're now approaching 12,000 because of the fact that containers are not where they're supposed to be. Now that's going to cause prices to go up, and it'll even reach our shores and be prices higher for us. Now let's look at the vaccinations. This is from Our World in Data a couple of days ago. Dark green is fully vaccinated, light green is partially vaccinated. What we're seeing here is that if you looked at this a month ago, which we did, you saw European countries somewhere down in the bottom half. Now we're seeing European countries getting much more vaccinated, which is very good for business. but we're still seeing lots of laggards. Japan, which is supposed to have the Olympics in less than a month, has got less than 10% of its population vaccinated. Um, some of the others are even worse. The Russians have very little vaccinated because the only vaccination available to them is called Sputnik, and it was developed locally, and the Russians don't trust it. I mentioned the mutual funds and about China, and this gives you an idea of how they've grown. Now, what does this mean to us? These are being sold to middle class and upper class consumers. We're now sitting at somewhere between 350 and 400 million middle class consumers in China who are big savers. And so this is a lot of money being traded in China that tells us that the consumer is getting rich and sophisticated. This is one of my favorites. You know, the little proposal we have from our government about everybody having a 15% interest rate around the world. This compares that 15% to what things are today. This is the corporate tax rate. US, it says, is sitting out here at about 27, 26%. You know, you wonder if places like Hungary and Ireland are going to agree to 15%. I doubt that anybody's going to agree to it. And this is my e-commerce slide. I like to put up e-commerce. If you look at the black, that's the growth of e-commerce per year from 2015 to 19. And then blue is the growth between 2019 and 21. That's what happened during COVID. That's dramatic and is going to have a long-term impact on business worldwide. You can see that it's all over the world where the impact is. Now, for those of us who are a little bit older, of course, none of the ladies in the audience, this is a very interesting slide. The segmentation of the population by age. So young 18 to 29 is here. Middle, starting to middle age, and then these two up here are the older people. And you'll notice that Latin America is still fairly young, Europe and North America, older, Asia, younger, and the Middle East and Africa. That's going to have financial impacts on all of us as we go further along. Here's my last slide. I think this is about the greatest piece of wisdom I've ever seen. Knowledge on the left, lots of information, experience on the right. I think that all of us have experience, and that's what counts.